Dallasite Steve Hardesty, a state welfare department worker by day, has decided he doesn't want straight hair anymore. So, under the cover of darkness, he has slipped into Sassoon's men's styling section to ask for help. The first person he encounters is stylist Armand. He makes sure Hardesty understands what he's getting into. He says he does, so he's moved to a sink and another employee washes his hair. So far, no real trauma involved here. But now back to the styling chair. As Hardesty waits with his wet head, the person who will transform him enters like a surgeon with the instruments of her trade. She is Naoma West, expert in hair coloring and permanence. She tells Hardesty she'll turn his stringy locks into something like an afro. She also tries to calm any fears he might have about that.
Down on my forehead.
It'll be on your forehead. It'll be flexible where you can go either all the way back or, in the case of an afro, it's just very casual. It'll stand up from your scalp and just be curly. As it grows out, then you adjust your style.
It's here that Hardesty comes close to the point of no return, but he's determined to go through with it and watches silently as Naoma West rolls his hair, and she has rolled hair on many a male head.
There's executives, lawyers. There are people who get up on the roof and work on air conditioners. There isn't any particular type of man that gets a permanent or a straightener. This way, a gentleman can shampoo his hair, and while he's getting dressed, dry it somewhat, and on the way to work it finishes drying. Just much better for the hair.
After the last rollers are firmly in place and the various chemicals applied to help the magic work, Naoma puts a plastic sack over Hardesty's head and escorts him to a hairdryer. Now, thoroughly resigned to his fate, Hardesty sits passively as the dryer is lowered over his head, looking like some contraption from the set of a Frankenstein movie. From it, he will emerge a different man. While he dries out, stylist Gilbert is working on bank employee John Collins. He says his permanent makes his normally straw-like hair more manageable. Was he worried his fellow bank employees might laugh at him?
A lot of men have some sort of hang-up about some sort of effeminacy that might accompany it, but I figure if you're sexually aware of yourself enough, something like a permanent's not going to bother you.
By now, Naoma has Hardesty back at the sink, pulling out all the rollers, freeing the first wet curls. A quick rinse and back to the styling chair, where Armand turns on high-powered sun lamps and starts shaping the hair as it dries. Hardesty sits nearly transfixed. It's a pretty drastic change, isn't it?
Yeah, really. I know when I get away from the mirror, it'll still, in my mind, I'll look the same as I did. It'll take a long time to get used to this. Nobody knew I was going to do this. So they'll be surprised.
And this is what it's all about. Hardesty trades hard-to-manage straight hair for golden Greek curls that bounce back and stay out of his way. It costs $35, and it should last 2 to 3 months. Then he can decide if he wants to do it again.